Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to explain how the server and client infrastructure will be there and what do you mean by a work group and domain. So when I say server and client infrastructure, okay, how the connectivity established in between the client computers and the server computer. So in our case, the client means any user who uses an application or consumes an application. So if I take facebook.com as an application, that facebook.com application is hosted in a server remotely. Correct, right? And we are accessing the application using laptop, desktop, mobile, and tablets. The medium can be anything. Either you access an application on your laptop or a mobile or a desktop. The content is same, the same data is coming. But the connectivity we needed. What is the connectivity? If you are at home, the connectivity or the medium is internet. So using internet, we will establish a connection between your laptop or mobile or desktop to the server. So this connection we call it as client and server connectivity or the infrastructure. Okay, now I would like to explain you what you mean by work group. You can see here two pictures are there in the right side. One is for work group, another one is for domain. In the image called work group, there is a peer-to-peer connection between the computers. So there are four computers and all the four computers are connected within the network. Okay, and the users are created directly in the same computers. The server computer 1 has got user 1, computer 2 has got user 2, computer 3 has got user 3, and computer 4 has got user 4. And whoever logs into the computer, they will be able to see the data. There is no security. Okay, and if you see the domain image, we call it as centralized domain controller. Means in the work group there is no security, okay, and risk of sharing or losing the data with other computers are more. But in case of domain, it is not like that. Domain means it is a security boundary. Okay, so if you want to access an application, until and unless you specify your identity and prove your identity, you will not be able to access any data out of the domain. And in case of domain, we will have a dedicated server called domain controller, and all the computers are part of that domain, and we call them as member computer or member server. But the users are created in the domain controller, but the access will be granted at the server level. So the authentication happens at the central store, which is domain controller. So this is the difference. So work group means there is no security. The computers are connected peer to peer within the network, and I can log into your computer, you can log into my computer, or you can access my data and I can also access your data. There is no restrictions. But in case of domain, it is not like that. All the users are created in the domain controller, and we will specify which user should have what level of access, and to access an application or a service you have to prove your identity. Okay, that's about the work group and the domain. By using domain, you can get multiple other benefits also. So by using the domain, what you can do, you can provide centralized authentication. Means no matter wherever or whichever computer you logs in, when you enter your username and password, that username and password will be taken to the domain controller which is there in the central store. Okay, and just verify your authenticity and then come back and then grant the access. That is called as centralized authentication. And if you want to control any computer in the mass number, say for example you want to apply a wallpaper for all the 1,000 users in the office, so it is manually, if you do it is time taking activity. But in case of active directory, you go to the group policy and create a policy to up and apply to the OU where the users are presented. Then within 2-3 minutes, all the 1,000 computers will have the same wallpaper. So we call this as centralized administration. And we also get the single sign-on. Means once you log into the computer, whatever applications you wanted to access, that will have access by default. That is called a single sign-on. You no need to enter username and password again and again for all the application. So once when you log into the computer, if you enter your username and password, that is done. That is why we call it a single sign-on. And the Active Directory domain service installed or configured computer or server can be called as domain controller. And there are two types of components are there: physical components and logical components. Okay, that will be explained in the next video. Thank you all for watching this.